Obviously, we had another gangland shooting yesterday. Niamh, like, is arming the guards really the answer? I think there was an armed Garda patrol 200 yards away from what happened yesterday. Your man had buttons for the ERU and everything, and still doesn't seem to make a difference, does it?
Yeah, that's right. Look, I think it's very much like terrorism. It's not arms that's going to solve this. It's information intelligence. It's good old-fashioned police work. It's infiltrating these networks. It's cross-border communication over across different countries.
Because the Kinahans certainly seem to know what's going on and where everyone is and all that kind of thing, but the cops clearly
just catch up.
Not so much. Al, you are probably somebody who comes from an area that is closest to the North Inner City here. So
honestly, what really worries me about this is that when you talk to people about it and you're in conversation, a lot of us are guilty of saying, Asher, at least they're shooting each other. And with that kind of sense that can be contained, and it'll be contained to them, but it cannot be contained. It's a cancer in those communities. And there's a complacency over it that bothers me that I think is classist, where people say, oh, well, it's a disadvantaged area. That's a working area. Those people, you know, they're always going to have trouble. They have social issues. There's no helping them. As though working people like me and my family and my cousins are to be content with our lot, that we're supposed to be content with fear, that we're supposed to be, because you grew up in that area, that's supposed to be normalised for you. I know people, neighbours who are afraid to open their door if it rings at a certain time of night because they don't know who's going to be there. And we're supposed to live with that fear. And I tell you, it is classist, because if it was happening in Foxrock or Blackrock or outside that door there in Montrose, there would be police on every corner, patrols would be sent in, and I tell you, the media wouldn't report about it the way they are at the moment. You know, hutch number 5, dead hutch number 6, as though it's some glass foot off a wall. I don't care what these men have done, but they are people.
But it kind of does, I think it makes a difference. There's almost a suggestion now that the hutches, and I know some of them are more innocent than others, that the hutches are innocent victims of this, and that it's, you know, that if this was, you could say if this was middle-class people, if they were middle-class people who'd chosen that lifestyle, I don't think there'd be much more sympathy there.
An example where I think that there would be more sympathy is when it happens to be a mistaken identity. What do people say next? They say, no, but when the people, what do they say next? They say, oh, well, sure, he was probably involved somehow. I heard he used to be doing drugs and all that. Everyone does drugs, despite, you know, in spite of their socioeconomic background. Just because you're doing a line of coke in a GAA club in Tallaght does not make you a worse person than the person who can do it in a D4 hotel because they're a lawyer. And if the lawyer got shot, it's some sort of national tragedy. And honestly, the real victims in this, and I'm sorry I'm so passionate about it, are the communities. Because Enda Kenny's comment about it being two families, this is ridiculous, because these people live next door to other people. Those families who are involved have neighbours. Those neighbours have children, and they are growing up in the midst of this war. And something has to be done. We cannot be complacent about it, and we cannot treat working class, disadvantaged people in those areas as though they deserve it, because they don't. They deserve better.
They certainly don't.